From name to number, Ahad equals 168. The sacred name Ahad in Arabic consists of three simple yet profoundly meaningful letters, Alif, Ha, and Dal. If we examine their positions in the Arabic alphabet, they clearly form the number 168. Alif is the first letter, Ha is the sixth, and Dal is the eighth. In the Qur'an, the word Ahad, meaning the one, the absolute, appears only once in a form that explicitly refers to God Himself. This occurs in Surah Al-Ikhlas. Qul huwa Allahu ahad. Say, He is Allah, the One. This singular occurrence is not a coincidence. It points to the uniqueness of the divine oneness, absolute, indivisible, and unlike anything else. But how can we be certain that the name Ahad truly points to the fundamental structure of reality itself? Here is where the number 168, the numerical form of the name Ahad, reveals its role. Follow me into this journey. Symmetry 168 at the heart of pure mathematics and theoretical physics. Every great narrative in mathematics often revolves around a fundamental object. In the story of Symmetry 168, the protagonist is a remarkably elegant algebraic entity, a simple group of order 168. To understand its extraordinary reach, we must first look into its anatomy and unique properties. In group theory, a simple group is a structure that cannot be broken down into smaller, non-trivial normal subgroups. They serve as the atoms, or fundamental building blocks, of all finite groups, similar to how prime numbers are the foundation of all integers. Among this family of simple groups, one entity stands out, the projective special linear group PSL2, 7. The number of elements, its order, is exactly 168. Its significance is not only in this number, but also in its status within the hierarchy of mathematics. It is the second smallest non-abelian simple group, right after the alternating group A5 of order 60. Its foundational role makes it capable of appearing in surprisingly many different contexts. One of the most profound features of PSL27 is the existence of an isomorphism. In group theory, an isomorphism refers to a structural equivalence between two groups that may arise from very different constructions, yet are algebraically identical in structure. And indeed, PSL27 is structurally identical to GL32, the group of all invertible 3 × 3 matrices over the binary field F2. This equivalence between PSL27 and GL32 is a striking mathematical coincidence, serving as a kind of Rosetta Stone that allows translation between two seemingly unrelated mathematical worlds. The most direct and fundamental manifestation of GL32, and therefore also PSL27, is the Fano Plane. The symmetry group of the Fano Plane has exactly 168 transformations that preserve its point-line structure. In other words, there are 168 distinct ways to rotate, reflect, or permute the arrangement of its points and lines without altering their fundamental relationships. This group is none other than PSL27, which is mathematically equivalent to GL32. Digging deeper, we discover that the reach of Symmetry 168 extends even further, into the exotic realm of octonions. Octonions are an 8-dimensional hypercomplex number system consisting of 1 real unit and 7 imaginary units. Remarkably, the Fano Plane itself serves as the perfect visual guide to define the multiplication rules among these 7 imaginary units. From the discrete and binary world, Symmetry 168 astonishingly reappears in the continuous domain of complex analysis. The object here is the Klein Quartic curve, a compact Riemann surface of genus 3. The uniqueness of this curve lies in its extraordinary degree of symmetry. It is a Hurwitz surface, meaning it achieves the maximum possible symmetry for its genus, and its automorphism group is none other than PSL27. This is profound. It shows that the very same algebraic structure governs the symmetries of two fundamentally different objects. The discrete and combinatorial Fano Plane, and the continuous and analytic Klein Quartic curve. This stands as strong evidence for the unifying power of group theory, where the logic of symmetry transcends the medium, whether it be binary fields or complex numbers. The echo of symmetry 168 in theoretical physics. The mathematical beauty of the 168 symmetry is far more than an intellectual game. It resonates powerfully across the entire landscape of theoretical physics. From the smallest units of information in the quantum world to the fundamental structure of the universe in M-theory, the pattern of 168 emerges as an unexpected yet essential organizing principle. In the realm of quantum computing, one of the greatest challenges is protecting fragile quantum information from noise. Quantum error correction, QEC codes, are designed for precisely this task. One of the most famous and fundamental among them is the Steen 7-qubit code, a code that encodes one logical qubit into 7 physical qubits. The connection between the Steen code and the Fano Plane is direct and elegant. The 7 physical qubits of the code can be mapped onto the 7 points of the Fano Plane. The stabilizer generators, quantum operators used to detect errors without destroying the encoded information, correspond to the 7 lines of the Fano Plane. The automorphism group of the Steen code, the set of operations that map the code onto itself, is PGL32, which is essentially PSL27. This connection is more than just a visual analogy. The efficiency of the Steen code in correcting any single qubit error is rooted directly in the geometric properties of the Fano plane. In the stabilizer formalism, to uniquely diagnose an error, the resulting syndrome pattern must be distinct for every possible error. The Fano plane provides the perfect geometric blueprint for this task. M-theory and supergravity, symmetry in higher dimensions. In the quest for a fundamental theory of physics, M-theory stands as a leading candidate to unify all forces and particles operating in 11 dimensions. When this theory is compactified down to the 4 dimensions we observe, the exceptional Lie group E7 emerges as a crucial duality symmetry. Surprisingly, the 168 symmetry returns to play a central role. An important result by Surkhi et al. Shows that the group PSL27 can be embedded within the Weyl group of E7. But this is not merely a mathematical curiosity. There are multiple ways to embed PSL27 into Weyl E7, yet the physically relevant embedding, the one used to construct physical solutions, is specifically chosen because PSL27 is the automorphism group of the Fano plane. The implications are profound. This suggests that the combinatorial structure of the Fano plane serves as a fundamental organizing principle for classifying solutions to the Englert equations, which describe magnetic flux configurations on M2 branes in 11-dimensional supergravity. In other words, the simplest structure from finite geometry appears to be the blueprint for constructing solutions in the most advanced theory of quantum gravity. Thus, symmetry 168 is no longer confined to abstract geometry. It has become an intrinsic, hidden symmetry underlying the fundamental dynamics of the universe at its highest scales. Particle physics, neutrino flavor symmetry. One of the greatest mysteries in the standard model of particle physics is the flavor puzzle. Why are there 3 generations of matter particles with vastly different masses? And why do they mix in such strange yet highly structured patterns as seen in neutrinos? To explain these patterns, physicists have proposed the existence of discrete flavor symmetries under which the 3 generations of particles are grouped together. PSL27 has emerged as a particularly strong candidate for this role. The reason lies in its mathematical toolkit, its representation theory. Within the framework of grand unified theories, an elegant model requires matter particles, quarks and leptons, to reside in triplet representations of the flavor group, while hypothetical scalar particles called flavons, which break the symmetry and generate mass, must sit in sextet representations. PSL27 is the smallest simple group that possesses both of these representation types in its arsenal. Therefore, the choice of PSL27 is not arbitrary. It represents a Goldilocks solution. The simplest group that is just complex enough to provide precisely the right tools to solve specific, difficult problems in realistic gut models, such as generating the large top quark mass while simultaneously explaining the pattern of neutrino mixing. Once again, Symmetry 168 emerges not as coincidence, but as the most efficient and elegant solution to a deep physical puzzle. The unreasonable effectiveness of PSL-27. The journey of PSL-27 is a prime example of what physicist Eugene Wigner called the unreasonable effectiveness of mathematics in the natural sciences. Why should a structure born from pure axiomatic play, matrices over finite fields, have any relevance to the physical world? Why should a coincidental isomorphism between two groups serve as a bridge connecting phenomena as disparate as neutrino mixing and M2 brane dynamics? There is no easy answer to these questions. Yet the story of PSL-27 shows this is not an isolated incident. 20th and 21st century physics is filled with examples where mathematics, once considered pure and useless, turned out to be the precise language for describing the universe at its most fundamental level. Non-Euclidean geometry for general relativity, Hilbert spaces for quantum mechanics. The tale of PSL-27 is the latest and most beautiful chapter in this ongoing epic. The mathematical universe hypothesis. One of the most radical and provocative philosophical responses to this puzzle is the mathematical universe hypothesis, MUH, popularized by cosmologist Max Tegmark. The MUH proposes that the profound connection between mathematics and physics is no coincidence, because the universe is not merely described by mathematics, it is a mathematical structure. From this perspective, our physical existence is that of self-aware substructures within this vast mathematical framework. Within the MUH framework, the question, why does PSL-27 appear in so many places, is answered differently. It's not that the physical universe magically chose to obey this group's rules. Rather, it's because the single mathematical structure that is our universe happens to contain PSL-27 as one of its substructures. The various physical manifestations we observe are simply different ways for self-aware substructures to perceive and interpret different aspects of the same underlying mathematical reality. Although the MUH is highly speculative and perhaps not directly testable, the story of PSL-27 provides a fascinating case study. It vividly demonstrates how a single mathematical object, through its isomorphisms and geometric embodiments, can unify seemingly unrelated phenomena across diverse fields. This offers a tangible example of the kind of unity and elegance we would expect if the universe, at its core, is mathematics. The trace of 168 in the Bismillah. If in the previous section we found 168 encoded in the name Ahad by examining the position of its letters, Alif equals first, Ha equals sixth, Dal equals eighth. Then in the phrase Bismillah, we discover the same sequence, 168, through the lens of gematria. In the opening phrase of the Qur'an, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, lies an ocean of meaning, explored for centuries by scholars, mystics, and thinkers. It is the gateway to the sacred text, a proclamation that all things begin with and are sustained by the name of God. Traditionally, gematria scholars calculate its total value as 786. However, a more detailed observation, as I will now explain, reveals a stunning dual structure, a cosmic signature hidden beneath its surface. If we divide the Basmala into its two conceptual phrases, we uncover a remarkable duality. 1. The phrase of action and foundation, Bismillah, in the name of Allah. 2. The phrase of attributes and manifestation, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, the most gracious, the most merciful. When we apply gematria to these two phrases, we don't just get numbers, we discover two fundamental constants that serve as pillars for the universe as we know it. The first phrase, Bismillah, is a statement of intention, source, and authority. It is the foundation of all action. Its gematria calculation yields Bismi equals 102, Allah equals 66. Total for Bismillah equals 168. The number 168 is no ordinary number. As previously discussed, it mysteriously appears at the heart of pure mathematics and theoretical physics. It is the order, the total number of symmetries, of the Klein Quartic curve, a mathematical object representing the highest possible symmetry for its genus. In physics, symmetry is the fundamental language of natural law. From subatomic particles to galactic structures, the principle of symmetry governs how the universe operates. The second phrase, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, is a declaration of God's attributes. If Bismillah speaks of the principle, then Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim reveals how that principle manifests, through compassion, growth, beauty, and harmony. Its gematria calculation yields Ar-Rahman equals 329, and Ar-Rahim equals 289. Total for Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim equals 618. The number 618 immediately evokes one of nature's most famous constants, the golden ratio, or phi, approximately 1.618. Notice that 618 are the first three digits after the decimal point in phi. The golden ratio is often called the divine proportion due to its countless appearances throughout existence, in the spirals of galaxies and nautilus shells, in the arrangement of flower petals and sunflower seeds, in the ideal proportions of the human body, and in the most celebrated works of art and architecture renowned for their beauty and harmony. Here the symbolic correspondence is equally astonishing. The phrase describing God's boundless mercy and compassion is numerically linked to the constant that defines life, organic growth, beauty, and aesthetic harmony. It is as if to suggest that the manifestation of Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim is the very beauty and harmony we witness throughout the created universe. Thus, this contemplation carries us from sacred texts to the heart of mathematics, from theology to biology and art, revealing that what is believed to be divine revelation may resonate profoundly within the universe's own universal language. Pattern 168 in particle physics. Modern scientists, particularly in particle physics, do not explicitly search for God within their particle accelerators. Yet, without realizing it, they have dug down to the very foundation of creation, into the deepest core of reality, which is none other than the main stage of his manifestation. In this quest, they have uncovered a remarkably distinctive structure within the standard model of particle physics, the theoretical framework that describes fundamental particles and their interactions. The standard model explains all matter and fundamental forces through a set of elementary particles, categorized into several families. But when we narrow our focus to the strong nuclear force, the force that binds atomic nuclei, only a subset of these particles truly participates. At the deepest level, only one Higgs boson, 6 quarks, and 8 gluons interact within the quantum realm that mediates the binding of atomic nuclei. The lepton family, though numbering 6, does not interact via the strong force, as they carry no color charge. Thus, the formation 168 emerges as the most relevant configuration for describing the dynamics of particles entangled in forming the very backbone of material existence. This is not merely data, it is a pattern that hints at a deeper, perhaps even numerical structural language governing physical reality from the bottom up. These three particle groups are the pillars upholding physical reality, an unshakable foundation. Without them, there would be no protons, no neutrons, no atoms. No shining stars, no breathing human bodies. Not even space for time to flow. They are the most fundamental instruments playing in the cosmic orchestra of creation, a melody that never ceases. Recognizing their role and balance is akin to realizing the scientific echo of La ilaha illallah, there is no God but God, that no existence stands alone except by his governance, by his sustaining hand. The trace of 168 in physical constants. Having witnessed the 168 formation among fundamental particles interacting via the strong force, the number 168 reappears implicitly, this time in the mass of the neutron. When we examine the neutron's mass, we find a striking numerical proximity to the value 1.68. Although this is an approximation, the sheer weight of evidence we've encountered, the spectacular recurrence of 168 across spiritual, mathematical, and theoretical physics domains makes this approximation feel profoundly meaningful, even necessary. The neutron's mass is slightly larger than the proton's by about 0.14%. This tiny difference is absolutely crucial for the universe as we know it. If this mass difference were just slightly smaller, about 1/3 of its observed value, hydrogen atoms would undergo inverse beta decay, leaving a neutron-dominated universe devoid of hydrogen and thus incapable of forming stars, a scenario incompatible with life. Conversely, if this mass difference were slightly larger, more than 0.05% above its observed value, Big Bang nucleosynthesis, BBN, would produce far more helium-4 and drastically less hydrogen, making hydrogen burning in stars impossible and preventing the synthesis of heavier elements. Again, life could never arise. This extraordinary precision of physical constants, including the proton and neutron masses, is known as the fine-tuning problem of the universe. It suggests the universe appears designed to permit life and consciousness, a cosmic orchestra perfectly tuned. The anthropic principle argues that the range of possible observations about the universe is constrained by the fact that observation can only occur in universes capable of developing observers. This explains why physical constants have values precisely calibrated for life, a coincidence too perfect to be mere chance. From divine revelation to the architecture of particles. Our journey tracing the code 168 has spanned from the most sacred realms to the most fundamental. We have discovered a consistent numerical resonance, a cosmic frequency appearing across multiple dimensions of reality. In the divine name, it is encoded within the very structure of the name Ahad through the positional order of its letters. Alif equals first, Ha equals sixth, Dal equals eighth, forming the sequence 168. In the verse of Revelation, it manifests as the gematria value of the foundational phrase Bismillah in the name of Allah, totaling exactly 168. At the heart of mathematics, 168 stands as the total number of symmetries of the group PSL 2, 7, a symmetry atom that serves as the automorphism group for the most symmetric objects in its class, such as the Klein Quartic curve. In the architecture of matter, it structures the particles involved in the strong nuclear force, 1 Higgs boson, 6 quarks, and 8 gluons, once again forming the pattern 168. This repeated emergence implies that the language of revelation, the logic of mathematics, and the substance of physics are not separate domains, but interconnected manifestations of a single, unified truth. We are witnessing a grand symphony played by different instruments, yet all following the same musical score. For the spiritual seeker, this is the universe speaking in the language of symbols. For the open-minded scientist, this is a pattern too precise to be coincidence. For the seeker of ultimate reality, this is the red thread, weaving all things together. Thus, the phrase Bismillah is no longer merely an invocation to begin an action. It is a proclamation that opens reality itself. When uttered, a human being is, in truth, aligning themselves with the code of creation, 168. This is not just a number. It is an echo of the One, connecting the intention of a servant with the deepest structure of creation. This is the deepest meaning of Tawhid, divine oneness. It is not merely a theological concept, but a verifiable frequency, a single vibration unifying all things. Tawhid no longer means only belief that God is one. It is the awareness that reality itself is singular and unified. Reality is bound to one essential code, 168, manifesting as word, Bismillah, number, order of symmetry group, and energy matter, fundamental particles. The importance of viewing 168 as a universal code lies in its ability to serve as a bridge between science and spirituality. It reveals that these two realms are, in fact, speaking the same language. Thus, 168 is the shared language between the laboratory and the mihrab, between quantum reality and spiritual consciousness.